warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Raisha Saidu. On the show tonight, we continue to track the heinous terror attack in India's Jammu and Kashmir. 27 innocent lives were killed. Hindus were singled out for death. And all eyes are now on New Delhi. How will India respond? How will India punish the Pahalgam killers? We will also tell you about the face and mind of terror after the Indian security agencies released photos and sketches of the suspected terrorist behind the terror attack in Kashmir's Pahalgam. And finally, from the Ukraine-Russia war, we will tell you about the night of terror in Odessa. The strikes come as both Putin and Zelensky have signaled willingness to negotiate a pact that would ban striking civilians. All that and a lot more lined up for you on Gravitas tonight. Let's get you started.
Pressing engagements following this press briefing, so we'll not be in a position to take questions from you. We can do that subsequently. With that, I give the floor to Foreign Secretary. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Randir. Good evening. Thank you all for your patience and for joining at this relatively late hour. I have some prepared remarks that I'll share with you. And as Randir said, due to some preoccupations, will not be able to take questions tonight. The Cabinet Committee on Security met this evening under the chairmanship of the Honorable Prime Minister. The CCS was briefed in detail on the terrorist attack on 22nd April 2025 in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir, in which 25 Indians and one Nepali citizen were killed. A number of others sustained injuries. The CCS condemned the attack in the strongest terms and expressed its deepest condolences to the families of the victims and hoped for the early recovery of the injured. Strong expressions of support and solidarity have been received from many governments around the world, which have unequivocally condemned this terror attack. The CCS recorded its appreciation for such sentiments, which reflect zero tolerance for terrorism. In the briefing to the CCS, the cross-border linkages of the terrorist attack were brought out. It was noted that this attack came in the wake of the successful holding of the elections in the Union Territory and its steady progress towards economic growth and development. Recognizing the seriousness of this terrorist attack, the CCS decided upon the following measures. 1. The Indus Waters Treaty of 1960 will be held in abeyance with immediate effect until Pakistan credibly and irrevocably abjures its support for cross-border terrorism. 2. The integrated checkpost Atari will be closed with immediate effect. Those who have crossed over with valid endorsements may return through that route before 1 May 2025. 3. Pakistani nationals will not be permitted to travel to India under the SAARC visa exemption scheme visas. Any SVES visas issued in the past to Pakistani nationals are deemed cancelled. Any Pakistani national currently in India under SVES visa has 48 hours to leave India. 4. The Defence, Military, Naval and Air Advisors in the Pakistani High Commission in New Delhi are declared persona non grata. They have a week to leave India. India will be withdrawing its own Defence, Navy and Air Advisors from the Indian High Commission in Islamabad. These posts in the respective High Commissions are deemed annulled. 5 support staff of the service advisors will also be withdrawn from both high commissions. 5. The overall strength of the high commissions will be brought down to 30 from the present 55 through further reductions to be effected by 1st May 2025. The CCS reviewed the overall security situation and directed all forces to maintain high vigil. It resolved that the perpetrators of this attack will be brought to justice and their sponsors held to account. As with the recent extradition of Tahawur Rana, India will be unrelenting in the pursuit of those who have committed acts of terror or conspired to make them possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. With that, we come to the closure of this press briefing. Thank you very much.
And that was India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Mistri, who laid out the actions that India will be taking after the Pahalgam terror attack. He started the briefing by saying that there was strong support and condolences which received from many governments across the world, and asserted that the attack came in the wake of the successful elections and economic development in the valley. The first step that India will be taking is that the Indus Water Treaty will be held in abeyance and the Attari border to be closed with immediate effect. Apart from that, the India's Foreign Secretary also said that Pakistan nationals will not be allowed to travel to India. These were some of the diplomatic steps that India has taken after the Pahalgam terror attack. And for more on this, our assistant editor for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibal, is now joining us on the phone line. Siddhant, just a few moments ago, India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Mistri laid out some diplomatic steps that India has taken in the wake of the Pahalgam terror attack. Tell us more.
Well, important development tonight. India has announced that the Indus Water Treaty will be kept at abeyance. The fact that India has also announced that Wagah-Attari border will be closed with immediate effect. Also, the military diplomats, the air attaché, the navy attaché will be expelled as well. It's an important development that has happened. And essentially, that is downgrading of the diplomatic mission. In fact, India has said that the strength of the diplomats in the two sides, whether it's India or Pakistan, will be now kept at 30. So that is the big development that is coming.
Right, Siddhant. While the Indian Foreign Secretary did assert on the diplomatic steps, there's still not been any information on the military steps or any kinetic option on the table.
Well, correct. There is no kinetic action so far, essentially. But the Indian Foreign Secretary said that we will be keeping the forces on high alert. That is the big development that has been talked about. But any kinetic action will take time. We know that after the Pulwama terror attack, India had taken some time before, of course, announcing the fact that these strikes will happen, the surgical strikes can happen. So essentially, we have to wait till the formal announcement or development happens.
Right, Siddhant, just asserting for our viewers watching the show, that was India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Mistri who laid out the diplomatic steps that India has taken in the wake of the Pahalgam terror attack, in which 27 innocent lives were killed. The Attari border will be closed and Indus Water Treaty will be held in abeyance. Apart from that, Pakistan nationals will not be allowed to travel to India. this is Himanshi. She is the widow of late Navy Lieutenant Vinay Narwal. Narwal was more than just a soldier. He was a loving husband and recently married to Himanshi. The couple was on vacation in Kashmir when Lieutenant Narwal's life was tragically cut short by the terrorist. Lieutenant Narwal was among the 26 unarmed civilians and tourists whose lives were taken in the picturesque Kashmiri town of Pahalgam on April 22nd. Make no mistake that this was the worst attack on civilians in India since the 26/11 Mumbai shootings. It has shattered the calm in Kashmir, where tourism has flourished in recent years that we have been seeing. 27 lives have been lost. Yes, terrorism has no religion. But for these barbarians, it mattered. It mattered because they have made it out to be so. Eyewitnesses say that the terrorists ambushed the unarmed tourists, checked IDs, asked them their religion, and executed those identified as non-Muslims point blank. They separated the Hindu men, forced them to recite the azan, then fired the shots. This was no act of random violence. It was an act of hate. It was deliberate and planned. It is clear and straightforward. Terrorism has no religion, only bad faith. Take the case of Saeed Hussain Shah. He was a local pony ride operator who bravely tried to confront one of the terrorists, even tried to wrest the rifle from one of them. Tragically, he paid the ultimate price as he was shot dead by the terrorists.
एक ही सहारा था, यही कमाने वाला था।
एक बच्चा कमाए वाला से कोनो तो बड़ा ही से हाय अल्लाह के कर खुदाया।
India is enraged. How dare they? How dare they spread hatred in the name of religion? A new red line has been crossed and India has vowed to respond loudly and clearly.
मैं भारत के दृढ़ संकल्प को दोहराना चाहूँगा कि टेररिज्म के खिलाफ हमारी जीरो टॉलरेंस की पॉलिसी है। भारत का एक एक नागरिक इस कायरतापूर्ण हरकत के खिलाफ एकजुट है और हम सिर्फ उन लोगों तक नहीं पहुँचेंगे जिन्होंने इस घटना को अंजाम दिया है, हम उन तक भी पहुँचेंगे जिन्होंने पर्दे के पीछे बैठकर हिंदुस्तान की सरजमी पर ऐसी नापाक हरकतों की साजिशें रची हैं।
Earlier, India's Home Minister Amit Shah visited the hospital in Anantnag city where the victims are receiving treatment. Wasting no time, Indian forces are already on a hunt to find the perpetrators as investigators began probing the attack. Well, a team from India's National Investigation Agency or NIA arrived at the attack site to probe and assist the Jammu and Kashmir police. According to reports, tens of thousands of armed police and soldiers fanned out across the region and erected additional checkpoints. They searched cars and in some areas summoned former militants to police stations for questioning. In Jammu and Kashmir, shops were shut and people were out on streets to protest against the killings. But in fact, the whole country is reeling and enraged. They are angry from north to south, east to west. Indians were on the streets demonstrating against the Pahalgam massacre.
ये इंसानियत को जलील और रुसवा करने वाले हैं। ये इंसानियत को नीतन के साथ रहते हैं, शांति के साथ रहते हैं, सुकून के साथ रहते हैं, एक दूसरे की हमदर्दी रखते हैं, एक दूसरे की मोहब्बत रंदे कीड़ों से भी गिरे हुए लोगों ने कैसा काम किया है। रब्बा इस मुल्क की हिफाजत फरमा।
In Jammu and Kashmir's Udhampur, girl students from Jamia Ruqaya Lil Banat Madrasa offered prayers for the victims. The spiritual head of the Ajmer Sharif Dargah Syed Zainullah Abdin Ali Khan on Wednesday termed the Pahalgam attack as painful incident and said that there is no place for such acts in Islam. He said that no religion gives anyone the right to shoot someone after asking their religion.
This is a very painful incident and there is no place for such incident in Islam. Why are innocent people being killed? From the Islamic point of view, they are not worthy of being called Muslims. No religion qualifies you to fire bullets at someone by asking their religion. Why are you defaming Islam? They should feel ashamed.
Well, one thing's for sure, Hindus were singled out for death by these terrorists. But India will unitedly punish the killers of Pahalgam. And well, for more on this, our special correspondent Idris Lone is now joining us on the broadcast. Hi Idris, just moments ago, India's Foreign Secretary gave out the diplomatic steps that India will be taking. But I want to ask you about the current situation, the current sentiment in the valley. It has been more than 24 hours since the heinous attack.
Well, absolutely, Rahesha. At the moment, I'm standing in front of the clock tower in Lal Chowk, where we saw at least 5,000 people all during the day coming down to Lal Chowk area, especially to Ghantaghar, and protesting against the heinous, the brutal act that was done by militants yesterday in the Baisaran area of Pahalgam. Not only politicians, but we saw that traders, hoteliers, as well as student bodies came out in huge numbers today protesting against them. A lot of them were also very emotional. They said that Kashmir had been witnessing a lot of peace and was on the path of prosperity and development from the last many years, and that has been shattered today with that attack. What we saw on the ground also was a unity among every society member, whether they were Sikhs, whether they were Kashmiri Pandits, there were Muslims, all together. We saw everyone together at Lal Chowk today condemning this brutal act. On the other hand, Raisha, if we talk about the security situation, as you can see, now finally the security agencies have asked all the people who were protesting here to leave from the premises, to leave from this place, and that's why you don't see many people here now except the security forces. On the other hand, security on high alert across Jammu and Kashmir. There were 3 operations that took place in the Kashmir Valley today, in Jammu and Kashmir, The first operation was in the Uri sector, where there was an infiltration bid, where a group of militants from Pakistan was trying to infiltrate into Kashmir territory, and the security forces who were deployed on the line of control saw the suspicious moment, and they involved them in a gun battle. 2 militants were killed in that gun battle. Arms and ammunition was also recovered from them. The second operation was in the Poonch sector, where there was a ceasefire violation from the Pakistan army. They were shooting towards the Indian posts on the forward post. There was no damage in it, but that was the second incident. The third incident which started was in South Kashmir's Kulgam district, where there was basically an input about the presence of militants in the area, after which there was a brief gunfight as well. The operation still continues, as security forces believe there could be couple of militants holed up at the operation site, and it still continues. If we talk about Baisaran area, where the incident took place yesterday, that is where the main cordon and search operation of security forces is being carried out. Not only Jammu and Kashmir Police, Indian Army and paramilitary forces, but the commando wings of Indian Army and CRPF have also been deployed at this site, and they are also sanitizing and going through the dense forest area where the militants fled after attacking these tourists. We're also being told that helicopters, drones have been pushed in to basically look for those and nab the attackers. We also saw the Home Minister basically in the morning taking the survey of Baisaran. He went there and later on also took an aerial survey of the place. Now it seems like after the MEA's response to this attack, it seems that there is going to be definitely a multi-pronged strategy, that the security forces in Jammu and Kashmir will have to make a new strategy to deal with such heinous acts and brutal acts, and so that they don't happen. We also have to see that the Pahalgam is also the route and the base camp for the Amarnath Yatra, and it's going to be extremely a big concern for the security agencies now, and that's one of the reasons that they will have to tighten the vigil all across South Kashmir.
Right, Idris, you're joining us live from Lal Chowk in Srinagar. It's the area where a short while ago there were Kashmiris and people who were demonstrating against the Pahalgam terror attack. Talk to us about the security operations underway and also about the all-party meet which is scheduled to take place tomorrow in the valley.
Rahesha, Umar Abdullah has called for an all-party meeting tomorrow, later of the afternoon. What our sources are telling us, the main focus would be to discuss, because yesterday's attack has definitely had an impact on the tourism industry of Jammu and Kashmir, especially the Kashmir Valley. It is going to be a big blow for the tourism industry, as we've seen 95% of the bookings have been completely cancelled in the Pahalgam area, while as if we talk about overall Kashmir Valley's tourist bookings, we've seen that big hotels, all the 5-star hotels have also said that they have had major cancellations. And I think one of the main reasons for calling this all-party meet by Umar Abdullah would be the same. They would be discussing about how they can actually tackle the situation, how they can basically save the tourism industry of Kashmir Valley. Because however, we did actually, Rahesha, speak to a lot of tourists today in Srinagar. Some of them had cancelled their Pahalgam trip, but they had not cancelled their Kashmir trips. They were going to other places instead of Pahalgam, and a lot of them really did not worry too much. But we did see in the morning at the airport, a lot of tourists had pre-booked their basically flights and were leaving as well. So overall, that would be one of the major concerns of the government that they will be discussing on, that how to reach out to the domestic as well as to the international tourists, yet again giving them assurance that Kashmir is a safe place, and this is just one of the incidents. However, it seems like this incident would be remembered by people for decades, because it is one of the most brutal incidents that has happened in the history of Kashmir Valley, at least in the last 30 years.
Right, Idris, we'll wait and have to see how this inhumane terror attack in Pahalgam will impact the tourism and the economic growth and development in the valley. But thanks very much for joining us on Gravitas. Well, Indian security agencies have released sketches of the suspected terrorist behind the attacks in Kashmir's Pahalgam. The Resistance Front, also known as TRF, an offshoot of the banned terror group Lashkar-e-Toiba, has claimed responsibility for the attack. According to the security agencies, all the 3 terrorists are linked to Lashkar-e-Toiba, and at least 2 are believed to be foreigners. One of the photos of a terrorist is believed to be of Lashkar commander Adil Gauri, who had gone to Pakistan from India in 2018. Recently infiltrating back into the Indian territory. An old picture of other suspected terrorists is also doing the rounds. The terrorists have been identified as Suleiman Shah, located on the extreme right of this picture, and Abu Talha, located on the extreme left. Their exact roles in the terror attack is being ascertained at this point of time. Another picture of a local terrorist named Asif Fauji from Tral is also being widely circulated. Fauji is believed to have been with foreign terrorists at the time of the attack. However, this is yet to be officially confirmed. At least 5 to 6 terrorists stormed the popular tourist site from the dense pine forest surrounding the valley, wearing camouflage outfits and local attire such as kurta and pajamas. Security forces are conducting a massive cordon and search operation in the Baisaran area of Pahalgam as of now. The joint operation is being carried out by Indian Army and their commandos, Jammu and Kashmir Police along with Special Operation Group. The CRPF commandos have also been pushed in. Besides having personnel on ground, helicopters and drones are also being used for the security forces. India's top anti-terror agency, NIA's team, is at the spot to collect all the relevant evidence. According to sources, security forces have also detained over 1,000 locals across the valley, aimed at identifying the network of support that may have helped in this attack. That's by providing logistical or intelligence support to the attackers. According to intelligence reports, some of the terrorists were Pakistani nationals who infiltrated into the valley just days ago. They were trained, supplied and directed by handlers from outside India. Intelligence reports also say that terrorists conducted surveillance of the tourist site prior to the attack. So what exactly is this group? What exactly is this resistance front? According to India's Ministry of Home Affairs, TRF emerged in 2019, shortly after India revoked Article 370, though it reportedly projects itself as a local resistance. Conceived in Pakistan, TRF is nothing more than a rebranded Lashkar-e-Toiba proxy. Officials say Pakistan purposely pushed the resistance label to blur religious affiliations and cloak terror under the illusion of indigenous rebellion. In 2023, India officially designated TRF a terrorist organization. The group has used social media to recruit operatives and channel arms and narcotics into Jammu and Kashmir. TRF began online but quickly gained ground, absorbing remnants of other Pakistan-backed outfits like Tehreek-e-Millat-Islamiyya and Ghaznavi Hind. By 2020, TRF started claiming credit for practically every major terror attack in Kashmir. According to J&K police, by 2022, Indian forces killed more TRF militants than any other outfit. One major bust in Sopore and Kupwara revealed a major recruitment and logistics network of TRF, leading to arms being recovered near the line of control at Keran. Those arrested later confessed to grooming young men for the group. And well, for more on this, we're now being joined by Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik. Anas, is there any reaction from Islamabad on the severe diplomatic measures which New Delhi has taken just a short while ago? We know in the morning, this morning, Pakistan did release a statement on the terror attack in Pahalgam, but it fell short of condemning the terror attack.
Well, Rahesha, what we know so far is that there are currently deliberations that are ongoing at the highest level, including that at the level of the Prime Minister. And in all likelihood, Pakistan is likely to do a reciprocal measure with regards to the PNGing or persona non grata of 3 Indian diplomats or 3 Indian, the Indian naval attaché, the military attaché and the defense attaché based in Islamabad. We're expecting a formal statement to be released soon. The exact contours of the statement or when it will be, it is still unknown, but we're expecting that to be done. We're also expecting a formal summon of the Indian charge-day to be done as well, because given the history, this is something more of a reciprocal measure that Pakistan has been doing, and we would be expecting a statement either later tonight, or if not, then at max by tomorrow morning, because tomorrow, remember, is the weekly briefing by the Pakistani Ministry of Foreign Affairs as well. Rahesha?
Right, Anas, thanks for joining us on the show. We'll wait and have to see what kind of reaction comes from Pakistan. But the news that's come in at this point of time is that Pakistan will likely invoke reciprocal measures of the Indian naval, defense and military attaches in response to India's move. But thanks for joining us and giving us the latest. From the battlefields of 1965 to the airstrikes of 2019, India has consistently met Pakistan's nefarious designs with decisive military and strategic blows. Each provocation, whether overt war or covert terror, Pakistan has been met with a calculated, escalating response, underscoring India's resolve to defend its sovereignty.
Pakistan's attempt to enter Kashmir through Operation Gibraltar A covert infiltration of 30,000 soldiers disguised as locals ended in disaster when India not only repelled the incursion but launched a full-scale counter-offensive. The Indian Army's capture of the Haji Pir Pass, a critical infiltration route, crippled Pakistan's strategy and forced a ceasefire. Pakistan's brutal crackdown in East Pakistan in March 1971 led to an exodus of over 10 million refugees to India. After exploring diplomatic options, New Delhi hardened its stance after the Pakistan Air Force attacked India's eastern border. Indian military struck back decisively. Pakistan surrendered after 13 days of fighting, which led to the creation of Bangladesh. While peace talks were underway, Pakistani soldiers and terrorists occupied strategic Indian peaks in Kargil. India, shocked but undeterred, launched Operation Vijay, a brutal, high-altitude battle to reclaim every inch. Over 500 Indian soldiers laid down their lives, with Pakistan reportedly losing around 4,000 of its own men. On the icy peaks, the Indian military successfully ejected Pakistani intruders from high-altitude positions. After Pakistan backed Lashkar-e-Toiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists stormed India's parliament on December 13, 2001, India mobilized 500,000 troops along the border in Operation Parakram, the largest military build-up since 1971. While a full-scale war was averted due to international pressure, the mobilization exposed Pakistan's vulnerability and forced it to ban Jaish-e-Mohammed. Days after Pakistan-based terrorists killed 19 soldiers in Uri, India launched a cross-border surgical strike on September 29, 2016, destroying multiple terror launch pads. Indian commandos infiltrated 3 kilometers into Pakistani territory, eliminating terrorists and marking India's first public admission of such an operation. Pakistan denied the strikes but was left scrambling to explain bullet-riddled terror camps. Following the Pulwama suicide bombing that killed 40 CRPF personnel, India retaliated with an audacious airstrike on Balakot, deep inside Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. 12 Mirage 2000 jets struck Jaish-e-Mohammed's largest training facility, killing several terrorists. Days later, India thwarted Pakistan's retaliatory airstrike, downing an F-16. Pakistan captured Indian Air Force pilot Abhinandan Varthaman. But Islamabad was forced to return the pilot under intense pressure, facing humiliation. India's responses have evolved from conventional warfare to precision strikes, leveraging diplomatic isolation and military deterrence. Each action, whether the 1971 liberation of Bangladesh or the 2019 Balakot raid, has reinforced a clear message. Terrorism will extract a heavy price. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Let's tell you what else is lined up for you on the show. Well, from West Asia, we will tell you how Israel continues to bomb Gaza In the latest, it has targeted a school sheltering displaced families in Gaza. We will also tell you about Tesla CEO Elon Musk's latest announcement, where he has pledged to significantly cut back his role in the US government after Tesla reported a huge drop in profit sales. Let's now shift our focus to an active war zone. Russia has launched a wave of attacks across Ukraine. Attacks were reported in southern port city of Odessa, in the Ukrainian city of Marets, and in Kharkiv as well. The strikes came as both Russia's President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky signaled willingness to negotiate a pact that would ban striking civilians. And so, if bilateral talks occur, it would be the first time the two sides had held direct talks since the early days of the war in 2022. So what happens to the prospect of the talks? Just take a look at the battlefield first. It was another night of horror in Odessa as Russian drones rained down, injuring 2 and damaging civilian infrastructure. Video footage from the State Emergency Service of Ukraine showed emergency personnel driving to the scene of a blast in Odessa, where firefighters worked to put out fires at a damaged building. But that's not all. Russia launched a drone attack on Ukraine's east, in south and central Ukraine overnight. In Ukraine's second largest city of Kharkiv, Ukraine's emergency services were seen tackling massive fires. Russian drones targeting civilian infrastructure had resulted in multiple fires. In Kiev region, air defense units were also engaged in repelling the attacks, but there were no reports of potential damage. In the Ukrainian city of Marets, Russian drone attack killed 9 as Russian drone hit a bus carrying workers early on Wednesday. Pictures released by Ukraine's State Emergency Service showed rescuers removing bodies from damaged bus. On the same day, Russia's defense ministry claimed to have gained control over the village of Trasivka in Ukraine's Donetsk region. As you can see, the Russian attacks kept the eastern half of Ukraine awake for several hours overnight. Still, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that his armed forces still lack certain weapons for the war. According to Putin, Russian troops have received more than 4,000 armored vehicles, 180 warplanes and helicopters, and over 1.5 million drones of various types. But he said that there were other gaps in the areas.
These weapons are still lacking. I know about the efforts being made by the Ministry of Defense and the Minister by industrial enterprises. There are plans, work is being done every day, in fact, and I am sure that all plans to increase production of the necessary equipment, in this case these drones, will certainly be fulfilled.
As Russian attacks kept Ukraine awake, Kremlin said that there are many nuances around Ukraine talks and that positions have yet to be narrowed. Meanwhile, peace talks on Ukraine that were scheduled to take place in the UK were downgraded on Wednesday. UK Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs David Lammy had been expecting to host a fresh round of Ukraine peace talks in London. It would have brought together the US, Ukraine and Europe, but the British minister was left embarrassed after US Secretary of State Marco Rubio suddenly decided to skip the meeting. Nevertheless, Ukraine brought along a senior delegation led by Andrei Yermak, who is Zelensky's chief of staff. He was joined by the Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiha and Defense Minister Rustem Umerov. According to the British daily The Guardian, The last-minute downgrade came after reports from Russia and the US that suggest that two countries had made progress in separate bilateral peace talks between the White House and the Kremlin. It's unclear how serious Russia is about these talks, especially given the spike in attacks on Ukrainian civilians. At the moment, the situation remains dynamic, and the coming days will reveal more. And shifting our focus to West Asia, an Israeli strike on a school in Gaza City killed over 20 Palestinians. Local medics say the strike also torched tents and classrooms where displaced families took shelter. In yet another incident, Israeli strike targeted tents in the southern city of Khan Yunis. In the aftermath, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas urged Hamas to hand over Gaza hostages. Our next report telling you more.
The school turned shelter in northern Gaza City's Al-Tufa neighborhood was a soft target. It killed at least 10 people, including a child. These were the members of displaced families, ordinary Palestinians housing in tents and classrooms of the school, which was set on fire. Hours after the attack took place, pieces of charred furniture were seen in flames as survivors sifted through rubble and destruction caused by the strikes. Many lost their lives as they slept.
We were sleeping, and suddenly something exploded. We started looking and found the whole school on fire. The tents here and there were on fire. Everything was on fire. The class here was on fire. The class there was on fire. And we didn't know how to escape from the fire. What happened? An earthquake. It was worse than an earthquake or a volcano. We don't know what happened.
We were displaced from the Tufa area to Yafa school. As you can see, a suicide drone targeted the entire school, not just a single room or classroom. They struck the whole school with a suicide drone.
Another Israeli strike tore through a tent in Khan Yunis, killing many, bidding a heartbreaking farewell. Gazans mourned the loss of their loved ones.
We want to rest. We do not want war. We want an end to this. We are a people who are poor, devastated. Our lives are lost. We do not war. We want an end to this. We want rest.
The Israeli army threw sound bombs and tear gas during a raid in the West Bank village of Kobar. They occupied the house and interrogated relatives of a former Palestinian prisoner released as part of the exchange deal between Hamas and Israel. There's just no end to the death and destruction in Gaza. The barrage of deadly strikes is a nightmare for locals that refused to end. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has urged Hamas to lay down arms and hand over hostages still held in Gaza. He says this is the only way to prevent Israeli attacks on the territory.
It has given the criminal occupation excuses to commit its crimes in the Gaza Strip, the most prominent being the holding of hostages. Why have they taken them hostage? I'm the one paying the price. Our people are paying the price, not Israel.
On March 18, Israel resumed its military campaign in Gaza following the collapse of a 2-month ceasefire. Gaza health authorities say Israeli strikes have killed over 1,600 Palestinians since then. And the numbers are only mounting with each passing day. From the looks of it, peace seems to be slipping away from Gazans, and with aid to Gaza blocked indefinitely, relief in any near future seems distant and fading. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Well, Japan has revealed a powerful electromagnetic rail gun designed to shoot down hypersonic missiles, especially those fired by China. This high-tech weapon recently appeared during advanced testing aboard the JS Asuka warship. Tokyo is ramping up its naval defense at a time when tensions across the Indo-Pacific is growing. Unlike traditional guns, this railgun does not rely on gunpowder or explosives. It uses electromagnetic energy to launch metal missiles at higher speeds, providing a cheaper and faster response to missile threats. It can fire rounds at 2,500 meters per second, majorly faster than standard tank guns, which fire rounds around 1,750 meters per second. Japan's Maritime Self-Defense Force believes this system will upgrade its naval shield, further claiming that the railgun can target threats from the air, sea or land with higher accuracy than conventional weapons. Tokyo reportedly began manufacturing this weapon in 2016 and fired at from a ship for the first time in late 2023. The Japanese Navy says that this system will play an important role in future combat scenarios and help fill critical gaps in missile interception capabilities. In fact, back in 2022, Japan admitted that it only had 60% of the interceptor missiles it needed. Washington had also attempted to develop its own railgun, spending over $500 million into its railgun program before scrapping it in 2021 due to technical setbacks like overheating and extreme power demands. But the race did not end there. China has been quietly advancing its own version. In 2018, satellite images showed Chinese landing ship outfitted with a prototype railgun. India, Russia and Turkey have also tested their own versions of this weapon. The battlefield of the future is taking shape now, and Japan is showing the world it is preparing for it. In other news, Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who has been juggling roles due to his involvement in both Tesla and Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE, has now pledged to significantly cut back his role in the US government after the electric car firm Tesla reported a huge drop in profit sales for the start of this year. Musk has been leading the newly created advisory body, the Department of Government Efficiency, since last year, which has put the Tesla CEO at the heart of cutting US spending and jobs. However, Musk has now said that the time that he allocates to DOGE would drop majorly from next month. He further said that he would only spend 1 to 2 days per week on it, further emphasizing that the duration he allots to DOGE would depend on Trump and continue as long as he deems useful. Now, let's tell you how bad the Tesla numbers were for Q1 that compelled Musk to take such a decision. The numbers released after the markets closed on April 22nd were much worse than expected. The firm reported a 20% drop in car sales for the first 3 months of the year compared with the same period last year. While profits fell more than 70%, Musk's active role in DOGE has drawn attention and caused political debates, especially as it led to demonstrations and vandalism at several Tesla showrooms. Some investors have also expressed concern that Musk was not spending enough time running Tesla. Musk has now blamed the blowback on people who would try to attack me and the DOGE team. On Tuesday, the Tesla CEO had said that he thought Tesla was the car company least affected by tariffs because of its localized supply chains in North America, Europe and China, but added that the tariffs were still tough on a company where margins are still low. AI, or artificial intelligence, and advanced tech, it might be coming for your children. Well, according to an online safety watchdog, images of child sexual abuse created by AI are becoming more realistic. Not just that, the US state of Florida has sued Snap, the owner of photo sharing app Snapchat, for allegedly addicting children and deceiving parents. The Internet Watch Foundation, or IWF, said that illegal content created and consumed by pedophiles show AI-generated images and videos of child sexual abuse which appear dangerously real, a trend that has picked up majorly last year. In its annual report, the IWF revealed that it received 245 reports of illegal AI-generated child sexual abuse imagery, which is an increase of 380% on the F51 seen in 2023. The reports equated to 7,644 images, a large chunk of which was category A material, which refers to the most extreme type of child sexual abuse content involving violence. What explains this? A more developed technology, perhaps, which is improving by leaps and bounds with every passing day. In February, the UK government announced it will become illegal to possess, create or distribute AI tools designed to generate child sexual abuse material. It has also mandated that it will become illegal for anyone to possess manuals that teach people how to use AI tools to either make abusive imagery or to help them abuse children. More alarming is the fact that AI-generated pictures is surfacing on the open internet, which is browsed by people of all ages. And not just the dark web, this might pose major harm to children and teenagers. However, this is not just exclusive to the United Kingdom. In the US, Florida has sued social media app Snapchat over complaints that it violates children's mental health by overexposing them. The state of Florida has accused that Snapchat features such as infinite scrolling, push notifications, autoplay videos, etc. All these features, it hooks children instantly and exposes them to content that are harmful to them. Snapchat has also come under fire for allowing the provision for opening accounts of children aged 13 and younger. This indicates a dangerous pattern that digital child abuse is increasingly becoming the order of the day. And despite laws surrounding it being effected in countries like UK, such cases are on the rise. How can these be prevented? And that's increased parental control. That's the way out. Or should big techs and AI-driven tools or media self-regularize themselves even more in a bid to minimize the reach of objectionable content to underage audience? At this point, these are more questions than answers. Well, cryptocurrency-related scams have become increasingly sophisticated in recent years. The very features that make cryptocurrencies appealing, such as their decentralized structure, relative anonymity, and potential for high returns, also make them attractive to fraudsters. With governments and security agencies working hard to curb these menaces, the battle against crypto scams has gained an edge. Well, tech billionaire Elon Musk's post on his social media platform X, containing a humorous yet serious warning about crypto scams, has gone viral. The meme depicts Sodon, the Greek god of sea, with a message: there's an old saying, if a hot girl texts you about crypto, block him. Musk's post draws attention to the widespread tactic of scammers using fake female profiles to entice people. At the time of the recording, the post had received over 58.2 million views. So what are cryptocurrency scams? Fraudsters trick individuals into giving away their money or sensitive data under the false promise of quick and easy returns. In many cases, scammers use fake testimonials, fake websites, and even deep fake endorsements to come off as credible. Once the victim transfers their money, the scammers disappear without a trace. According to the FBI in 2023, scammers looted more than $5.6 billion globally, a number far more than previously estimated. As the digital landscape evolves, so do the tactics of these fraudsters. Remember, the best way to safeguard your savings is to be cautious and be aware of potential scams. And well, with that, we now slip into a very short break. Thanks very much for staying with us. You are watching WION The World.
In a move to slash federal funding, the Trump administration plans to shut embassies in 8 African countries, including the Central African Republic, Congo, Eritrea, Gambia, Lesotho, and South Sudan. Somalia launches voter registration in the capital Mogadishu for the first time in over 50 years, a step towards universal suffrage ahead of presidential elections scheduled for 2026 in the volatile nation. And an autistic Nigerian teen artist wins the Guinness World Records for the largest artwork on canvas by an individual. Watch World of Africa at these times on WION. World is One.
Imagine a world where owning your dream asset is just a click away, where wealth is no longer exclusive to the few. Tokenized